早かったですね、ユイ。
フリーの白魔導士なんていなかっただろう。
見つかったわ。
だよな、見つかるわけ。
紹介するわね。
ロイドだ。
で、こっち。
Scooped up by an S rank adventurer, episode number 2. And my friends, it's not that I think this was necessarily a bad episode, but I don't think that, how do you say it? As somebody like you and a lot of others, thousands of other people who are new to the series, who don't have familiarity with its source material, which is based on a manga, right? Assuming you aren't watching this because it's adapting something that you're already a fan of, right? We're just brand new to it. We're anime only. When you have an anime like this that has a pretty strong episode 1, I think episode 1, you know, showing Lloyd, showing the hardship that he went through, showing the fact that there was a hero's party and there was like a demon lord and the demon lord destroyed his village and a hero took him in and he was put through the ringer and, you know, brought up to be this mage, and then eventually he got brought up and then he decided to leave the home on himself, join a hero's party, got kicked out. Episode 1 traditionally was really good, but then to follow it up with episode number 2 as the S rank party is going to scoop him up, I think that what it did do well was it established that 2 of the members of this new party, Yui and Celica, if they could choose to not be adventurers, if they could choose anything during a conversation at the end of the episode that they had, they would both choose to be wives as opposed to being what they are. So that tells me that potential romance between Lloyd and between Celica and between Yui, right? Both or one of the two, something like that. So it establishes that. Episode, we already knew he's OP. You know, his past teacher just kept driving it into him, right? His past teacher was Merlin. So she just kept, you know, putting it into his head that, you know, he's just not up to par, right? But really, she's like the best wizard, best white mage, best mage in the world. So her skew of things is, or her view of things is skewed. So now this episode, you know, he established based on others, not himself, you know, he's incredible and nobody can do what he does, and storage magic is not normal, and custom or personal spells are not normal. You know, basically they're advising him like, your view and what you are 2 different things. What I don't like is it keeps showing his PTSD of his last party. Like, they scarred him, even though he spent not much time with them. They scarred him so bad that every good conversation, he constantly keeps having the hero party come back into his head. Eventually, it gets old. Actually, I'm already over it. Like, if I see it one more time, like, my eyes are gonna roll into the back of my head. The self-deprecating characters drive me nuts. So the constant, I'm not good enough, or like, no, I can't be, you're surely not talking about me. Like, no, that magic is just normal. It gets old. And hopefully, as the show goes on, we see less and less of that. But some characters, authors are like addicted to writing their character like that. And when you have characters that are written like that, they kind of tend to be written like that in all facets of the thing. So let's say, you know, 5 episodes down the line, Yui or Celica, let's say they want to get closer to Lloyd and they, you know, they make a move on him. Then that self-deprecating character is going to end up being like, oh, they don't mean it that way. They're not interested in me romantically. They couldn't possibly be interested in worthless me. Or they're going to go on adventures and he's going to accomplish something crazy and they're going to be like, he's going to be like, that's just normal. Like, no, like that's just, blah, 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 blah. And those things can get old quickly. Now, of course, I don't want to paint the show with what could be, you know, we have to judge it on what it is. But, you know, I'm sure like me, after you've read so many stories, after you've watched so many anime, you can just kind of see the writing on the wall, and that will make or break it. So here's what I'll say is I think episode number 2 was like a 6 out of 10. It was a little boring, you know, but again, it did establish things. It established Celica. It established his Yui. It established the party he's going to join. It established his gap between a former white mage and him. It established him asking to join the party, right? Kind of putting himself out there. It established the girls kind of like if in their ideal world what they want. It established a lot of things. So it did put context and it did put up like, okay, here's kind of the pieces that are falling into place. So I don't want to dog on the show completely, but I have to recognize, you know, when you're watching a show, you have story and you have entertainment. And at the end of the day, we just want to be entertained, but you're entertained by like the story. So an episode can further along story or plot or character, but it can do it in a bad way. So overall, I think this episode was a 6 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'll save my judgment for one more episode. We'll watch one more episode, and I'm hoping that we get an adventure, get him out there. Let's get some. Like, I would like to see him get in action. Hopefully, episode 3 brings that. So I'm gonna cross my fingers for that. We'll see if that ends up happening or not. I'm hoping like let's get some adventure. Let's get him out there. Let's get him in some scenes, you know. So we'll give it one more and we'll kind of go from there. But episode 1, I was really high on. Episode 2, poo-poo. Hopefully episode 3 goes back the same way again. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, my friends, and I'll see you next week. Peace out.